Hello and welcome back to Vox Terra. Hopefully this time my microphone picks up. So again, we're going to analyze the media's coverage of these climatic events. CBS News headline, thousands evacuated after mudslides, deadly flooding sweeps through California. January 11th, 2023. And a similar headline on January 10th. And in both of these, we saw images of flooding, debris flows, fast-moving waters, treacherous landslides, boulders coming down, trees falling. And yet, even with these mudslides and landslides, we find typically the media is not connecting these events, these extreme weather events, back to climate change. And that's a form of denial I call de-emphasis. Unlike what we might see on Fox News where they host actual climate deniers. But the effect is the same. You've got a very powerful fossil fuel petrochemical industry. Nobody really wants to step on their toes. So maybe they're not hosting deniers and they have some occasional stories about climate change, but they're still letting us go down like that frog in the pot of boiling water by de-emphasizing what's really the story of our lifetime. And really interesting, while CBS on either of the shows did not have on a climate scientist like Michael Mann, who's pretty excellent at explaining climate change, the climate change mechanisms driving this extreme weather in simple terms, like I try to do, they did have on Ellen DeGeneres. And what does that say about our media? So let me just start with some ominous headlines, foreshadowing headlines that really have been ignored by our media, just going back to this past summer even. CNN, what happened in Pakistan will not stay in Pakistan. Flood-ravaged country warns UN. September 24 of 2022. So it was around that time I did a video about the flooding in Pakistan, 1/3 of the country underwater, and I explained the climate change mechanisms that drove this. The heating planet, the hotter atmosphere retaining more moisture, and then it coming down in heavier droves than it used to for one. And it was around that time I started to see warnings that, hey, this could happen in California. Some of those same mechanisms are at play there too. Climate change is increasing the risk of a California mega flood. Science advances August 12th of 2022. And a few articles specifically warning about the California mega flood that could come, which cited, like many other articles did, to another science article, climate change increases the risk of extreme rainfall following wildfire in the western United States, April 1st of 2022. This is getting us towards the climate change mechanisms that are driving the increased risk of landslides, mudslides throughout the world. Here's a NASA article that could always be brought up and tied back. NASA study finds climate extremes affect landslides in surprising ways. October of 2022. And here's the smoking gun from that article. Climate change is driving more volatile precipitation patterns around the world. Very dry stretches, punctuated by storms that drop large amounts of rain or snow in a short amount of time. Now, here was an Atlantic article that could also be cited, and this one highlights the three main mechanisms that drive the landslide effect in particular. A recipe for climate disaster, extreme rain, rising sea levels, and more frequent wildfires are all making landslides more likely. So these events weaken the soil. Now, in the case of wildfires, I've shown you for years now, citing Union of Concerned Scientists and even to the EPA, all ignored by most media outlets, that wildfires are indeed increasing, especially in the case of the western United States, or that's where it's been tracked and cited best, but it looks like a worldwide phenomena. So in the case of the western United States, you've got with a heating planet, you've got an increase in the range of wildfire, the duration of wildfire, and the intensity. That again cited right to Union of Concerned Scientists, yet ignored. So now I've got all this burnt ground out there, then comes the heavy flooding, and I've been citing to you for years also, Scientific American, NOAA, and other sources showing how, that warmer atmosphere, it just holds on to more moisture, leading to these climate whiplash effects like prolonged dry or just really heavy downpours. And then the sea level rise mentioned, well, that helps create soil erosion, and then that weakens everything, and the landslides can come tumbling down more easily when those heavy rains come. And that sea level rise is happening now. That's also right at NASA, and that's for two reasons. You got the melting ice, and you've got the warmer ocean bodies expand. Bella Grussi at one of my shows recently commented, we're entering uncharted territory. And that's really what the media should be emphasizing to people. We're entering uncharted territory here with our climate. It isn't just the way they tend to make it seem is like the only effects are just, things are going to be warmer and eventually some of these coastal cities are going to be flooded and we'll have to relocate people. It's much more dire than that. You've got feedback loops kicking in. You've got just a general destabilizing of our jet stream, our Gulf Stream, our atmospheric and oceanic currents. Really all this making it harder to grow crops, an increase in heat waves, wildfires, and now increased precipitation or heavy rains coming down. And due to those feedback loops, the whole thing is cascading. So by de-emphasizing it, the public isn't understanding what they're really signing up for, and they're just choosing to continue to line up along culture war issues and that kind of thing, not getting the real dynamics at play here, that fossil fuel industry is super powerful with lots and lots of money, and their influence is reigning really supreme among the Republican Party especially. And that I've cited to you before from groups like Open Secret, the fact that way more of that campaign money is going to Republicans from the fossil fuel industry. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please make sure you're subscribed, you're commenting, you're clicking that notification bell so I'm putting up new videos, you're donating to Patreon. Thank you, Bella Grissi and Environmental Coffee House. This show comes at a big opportunity cost, take lots and lots of time for me to make. And as always, until next time, peace be with you.